pudding, and the pudding in this case was a football. Boom! Eat my goal! The goalie has got football pie all over his shirt.
Hey everybody, welcome to Garrison once again for another Q&A with the Wanderers and the Down the Pub podcast. I'm Anthony Abbott, this is Gary Griffiths. I'm sure you all know who Derek Martin is, probably sick of the sight of him at this stage. And we are...
One person applauding.
This is their last night.
We're going out with a bang.
Yeah.
So, this is a very special night in the history of the Wanderers. We're so pleased to get to chat with our new head coach, Patrice Gheisar. Welcome to Halifax.
So, Patrice, before we begin with the football questions, we had a question from Luca. And Luca wants to know, what is the Gaffer's drink of choice?
I say other than a pint, maybe a bourbon old-fashioned, or maybe a really good tequila.
You're a man of great class,
Yeah.
Patrice.
Yep.
Getting into the football, though, so with the season approaching, we'll have some of the players arriving soon. We've got Cal here already, Callum, who is a new signing over there.
Yep.
Callum's dad just referred to me as Chubby Prince Harry, which was nice. So cheers for that, mate. So, Patrice, we've got a question from Owen about the start of the new season, and he wants to know what are the current plans for the pre-season training camp, and to add to that, do we have any friendlies arranged as of now? Do we have plans for where we're going pre-season?
We're trying to get all the guys together, and our first goal is to bring everyone on the same page, form a really strong culture, someone that you guys will love watching and support, and someone you're really proud of. Then the second goal is to really establish a clear identity about how we want to play and what we want to do. We're going to start at Halifax for the first, say, 2 weeks, and then we're looking at different options at somewhere warm. And then wherever we go, we're looking at some really competitive games that give us a different arrangement of competition from someone that's very, young, a team that's experienced. So we're really advanced before coming home and gearing up for the season.
We're speaking of pre-season, there's a question from Alison as well, and they'd like to know, what are your plans for team building activities? How do you want to build a nucleus of players who have good relationships with each other, who have a brotherhood, and who get on off the pitch as well?
We have such a strong core of guys. Obviously, we've made some changes that everyone knows, and the first thing we've done in all of our new players is qualify the person that we're bringing. Again, we want people here that want to be here, people that you guys are going to be proud to watch and wear their jerseys, and people that you guys can support. So we've already gone through that part, and then once we get them together, we're going to go through different experiences when we're pre-season, doing 2 or 3 a day, doing different team culture exercises that really brings them together. But again, I believe the connection that all the players have is their desire to want to be here and play for you guys and really push and have the best season we've ever had.
So the next question was for both of you, but let's give Derek the opportunity to speak. Jacob asks, what are the expectations for this season, both on the field and commercially?
Well, we want to win, so a big
That's good.
surprise. So on the pitch, obviously, we want to change our fortunes. We've not done well enough, which is why we were forced to, make some changes.
Yep.
And we've now got some people in place that we think can help us do that. So, I think that's a pretty simple one. We want to win. We want to be more entertaining. You guys know me by now. I try to be consistent with what I say, and what I said back in the fall is what we want. We want more goals. We want more exciting play. We want to win. So those are the things that we're committed to doing. We're committed to doing that by the coaching staff that we brought in, and we're committed to that by the players that we're starting to announce now joining us. So that's certainly going to be our focus. Not that it hasn't been in the past, but certainly more so than ever. And commercially, we just got to keep it going. You know, we, as you guys know, it's because of you. We are the most successful club in the league when it comes to attendance. And, you know, I've said it before, but we really appreciate it. You know, you guys stick with us, have stuck with us through some miserable days at the Wanderers grounds and some miserable performances, weather notwithstanding, but just what you have to watch. So, you know, we are very grateful that we've been able to earn your support up till now, but, you know, we're also realistic and know that, you know, eventually you guys do need to see some entertaining football on the pitch, and that's what we're committed to doing. So I think commercially we want to keep it going. We want to keep doing what we've been doing. Certainly keep working on delivering as good as a game day experience as we can. We keep trying to work with different food vendors. We keep trying to, you know, find things that can make our current setup as good as it can be, while knowing that it's not good enough. But, you know, I'm sure that question will come up soon around what our plans are there, which are very positive, and happening relatively quickly right now. So we're just going to look to keep things moving.
So one thing we don't have yet, at least not publicly, is a full squad. So we have a few questions about upcoming signings and the integration of players we've already brought in. But before we get to that, Derek, sorry, I'd like to focus on an existing player. I'm sure everybody here wants to know an update. Do we have any kind of update on Joao Morelli?
Yeah, not a great update. We just, you know, Joao had a pretty horrific injury. You know, when you tear an ACL in this sport, it's very difficult to recover from that and to get back. We're staying in touch with Joao. We're talking to him all the time. Joao's a great guy. He loves Halifax. He wants to be back, but, you know, the reality is it's tough, and he's not going to be ready. He's not going to be ready for the start of camp. He won't be here to start the season, and we're going to have to just keep watching and chatting and seeing how things progress for him. If he can make it back this season, that would be amazing. We'd love to have him, of course. But we're also planning as if we might not have him. And that's just, unfortunately, the reality of professional sport. And, you know, the danger that all of these athletes, you know, put themselves in terms of trying to entertain the fans and get out and perform at their best. And these injuries sometimes happen. And it's, you know, it's horrible that it happened to Joao. It's horrible to happen to anybody. But obviously for us, him being such a key piece of what we had been building. But it's just more of a wait and see at this point and see how he recovers. So, you know, we'll have more updates as the season progresses, but I think most people would have assumed that at this stage, and we'll just kind of wait and see and stick by him as best we can to give him the support that he needs.
There will be a lot of new signings. Well, there's been a lot of new signings come in, and I'm sure there'll be a few more signings coming in as well. So we had a question from Brandon, and I guess, Patrice, you could take this one. He wants to know, when you're trying to attract new players, what's your sales pitch? Because you're attracting players to a team who last season at least finished second from bottom of the table. Like, how do you sell the club to them when you're not selling them like a championship winning side, for example?
For me, listen, you guys are the reason anybody wants to be here. It's a great facility, it's a great field, we have the best support, and, you know, when you look at all those games, if you take away certain moments that could have gone either way, don't give up that goal, score a couple more goals, things can change real quick, and we're going to try to get players that are a little bit sharper, and we can keep the goals out and score a few more goals. We're really close. I mean, to going back even to your previous question about what our expectation is, we're going to expect the team to compete every day, day in and day out, and when we get on the field, you know, with your support, we're going to look to win every home game. We're going to make this place the most difficult place in CPL to, you know, play at historically for the past 5 years, and we're going to need you guys. But, you know, when these players see the pictures and they see the history here, and, you know, with what we're trying to do and the vision, The right people are here because they're excited about it. So for me, yeah, there's a bit of a sales pitch, but it's really the truth. We don't want to be pushing someone to come here because I think there should be a lineup of players that come to play before you guys.
I think anyone who's followed your career up until now, they've seen a lot of pretty sensational attacking football, and I feel like a question from Derek threads into that quite well. He asked, so you say you want to play attacking football, like how do you see the players you've added so far fitting into that vision of playing proactive attacking football where we are the protagonists?
We know what we want to do, and I think, I want to thank Derek and Matt and the entire organization for believing in me. And from day one, it's the style that I've always known, and the style will never change, no matter who we play. And, I think with your support, and when you guys see it, there's more excitement. But we've recruited the players that are going to fit the system. So we've brought mobile, hungry, young players that can transition and are technical. We want to keep the ball, pass. We're going to maybe give up a goal that we lost in possession, but we're going to score a lot more goals. So we're going to be risk takers rather than someone that just sits back and hopes for the best. We're going to try to take it to everyone, and we're not afraid of playing anyone anywhere.
So a question from Cal. Vaughan is arguably the most successful youth program in the country, and it's great we can pull from that pipeline with some of the signings that we've made. What opportunities do you see to coordinate with our local clubs here in Nova Scotia to craft a similar pipeline of talent?
When I started with Vaughan 15 years ago, we had 19 teams. To when I ended up departing with the great staff we built, we had 55 teams. It takes time to build things. I think right now, for me to get out and we're starting to meet all the local clubs, we want to have as many local players as possible. It's going to take time, but we're obviously recognizing what needs to be done. We want your support, and we're going to support you. We're going to get out and watch all the youth games. We're going to try to do our input and help every club. Because, when you collaborate, things are going to go much better. And again, I keep going back to the same point, that we need your support, and we want you guys to be excited about what we're doing. Because it's our journey together, not just ours, right? Without you guys, this is not possible. So, it's about talking to the clubs, bringing them up to speed about how we can partner up with them in different things, helping them improve. And, I think our work is this year, fix our first team. And then meanwhile, as that's going, starting to look at how to build things from ground up in Nova Scotia.
Awesome. So a couple of questions for Derek, just to give you a break. Before we start getting into tactical discussions with you, Patrice, about styles of playing tactics, the main man, Carlos Benitez, had a question for you. When can we expect the new kits?
The new kits. Yes, so you guys will hear it first here tonight. We're going to host an event on March 7th. And at that event, which will be indoors this year, for those of you who braved Rogers Square last year, thank you, we love you. You guys are awesome. That was my fault. I thought it would be a great idea, and it was freezing, so that's all on me. But we've got a great new partner in the Lighthouse, which is part of the old convention center right downtown. And we're going to announce those details soon. But we'll host a meet the team kit reveal event. These guys will be have started camp at that point, and it'll be before they go to Florida and get out somewhere warm. So we'll have a great event where you guys get to meet the entire team, have them all introduced to you, have a chance to chat with them, and we'll unveil hopefully both kits at that time, both the home and the away at the same time.
Can you give us a little hint about what it might look like?
One of them will be blue. Is that enough?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Another question for Derek before we move on from Greg. We were recently drawn against Atletico Ottawa, in the Canadian Championship, and today you announced will be played at York Line Stadium. Could you explain how that choice was made and why?
And any word for Canada Soccer in amongst that answer?
Is this one being recorded?
I believe so.
Okay. That changes my answer. Okay, so listen. I've got a few opinions on this, and I'll give you a little bit of the backstory. But the reality is, we live in Canada, and in Canada it's cold in the wintertime. And when you want to have a beautiful grass pitch, like we're very fortunate to have, and you want that grass pitch to last throughout an entire season of playing, 14 CPL games, multiple Canadian Championship games, playoff games.
Yeah.
Right? You need that pitch to get a pretty solid footing before you start playing on it. So, in my opinion, the Canadian Championship is, I think, one of the really special things that soccer has in this country over all of our other competing sports. It's incredibly unique. How many people watched the Wrexham game earlier today? Right? That is an incredibly cool aspect of this game, that we can go and compete with Toronto FC and CF Montreal and the Whitecaps and almost beat them. Hopefully beat them this year. So to do that and to have that grass pitch, we have to be responsible about what it takes. So in our deal with the city, which we made public today, and I think it's been public for 5 years, we can't play games before the first week of May, and that is intended to give the grass time to the roots to take hold and to be there. The city takes great pride in the pitch that they maintain for us. And that's always been the situation. It's why many times we have to start the season. It's why we do start the season on the road. The last few years, when our season starts in April, we will always have to play a few road games before we can play at home. That's just the reality of having a grass pitch. Calgary is the same way. But because it's Canadian Championship, I think there's a great opportunity to play this tournament at a later date. And have these games happening in June and July and in August. But that decision was not made, and the decision was made to move it all forward so that the MLS teams had some time in the summer to do some other things. And that unfortunately then puts a ton of pressure on a number of venues who have grass pitches, like ourselves in Calgary, and some of the other venues, some of the smaller clubs, which Patrice's Vaughan team is in the tournament, due to their great success last year. And it's difficult for those guys to get fans out and do things in the cold of April. So we declared early on that we weren't going to be able to host a game when we saw the schedule. They asked us which dates we could host. We said we can't host in April. We can certainly host the rest of the way, hopefully as we advance. Ottawa, for whatever reason, said that they couldn't host in the first round. And unfortunately, when they got to the time of doing the draw, they had 6 games that had to be played. And they only had 5 clubs that were able to host those games in that mid-April window, which forced 2 teams to be drawn into what was potentially going to be an event that didn't have a host city. And we were lucky enough to be one of those teams. So as soon as the draw happened, we obviously made some calls and said, okay, what are we supposed to do now? Like Canada Soccer, what's your plan? And they didn't have a plan, so we had to start trying to figure it out. And we've looked at all the options. I did pursue playing in Moncton. I thought that could be a unique opportunity for us. Unfortunately, they don't plan to open their stadium until May 1st because it's Canada. And Moncton is cold until May 1st, and they were unable to accommodate our need to have it set up and ready to go. And sure, we could have looked at some other facilities, but we also did when we did the Island Games a few years ago, setting up a facility that's not built to produce a CPL game is really expensive and really difficult. So it's not as simple as just saying, oh, let's go to St. Mary's or let's go to some other field somewhere. It takes a lot more. There's media pros that's involved and has to figure out how to get broadcast set up and get their broadcast teams there. There's our own travel we have to think about. We're playing in Ottawa on April 15th. We're playing in Hamilton the week after. Flying all the way back here to play that, then fly all the way back doesn't necessarily give us a great advantage. And when you factor in all of those things and try to figure out what's the best possible scenario, we have Patrice here, who has a really strong support system in Vaughan. And there was a game already being played at York Line Stadium on the Wednesday night, which made that a very viable situation to be able to just say, okay, it's already set up for broadcast, everything's already there that we need. We can play the game there, we can tap into some fans that we have now with our adopted club at Vaughan. We've got our fans, obviously, who are in Ontario that we hope to come out and support us. And we're still working on, figuring out some transportation travel ideas that might work to fly a bunch of you guys up with us to go check out the game. So I was hoping to have that all confirmed today, but the price came back a little too high, and I didn't think that was a good price to go out there with on what it would cost. So we're working them down to try to get that a little bit better, and hopefully in the next few days we've got an option for all you guys that can to come up and help cheer us on. But it's one of these situations where it's unfortunate that it had to happen at that time. It's difficult for a bunch of venues to host at that time, and I really hope that the unfortunateness of this situation helps push them next year to make the tournament start a little bit later and allows us to really showcase all of these great games, because I think the drama and the excitement and each time one of these games happens is fantastic.
I just had to follow up to that.
Yeah.
Is that one of the door prizes? A trip to York to watch the game?
No, it could have been. It could have been. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the questions go.
We're not even getting a free drink, so I don't think it's going to go like that. Derek, while we're on stadiums, any updates on permanent stadiums? And also, do you foresee at any point in the future where we could potentially host a men's or women's Canadian national team game in Halifax?
Yeah, we'd love to. We ask every single year to host either a men's or a women's game. We'd love to host a women's game. We'd love to host a men's game. We've been denied every time so far for various reasons of it just not working out schedule-wise or other things. So we'll keep asking, and we'll keep telling them we think this would be a great place to have the national team. But ultimately, it's up to Canada Soccer to make those decisions. In terms of the stadium, I would say the last few months have been the most exciting for me in this process. We've really started to make some headway. We hosted a meeting 2 weeks ago with all of our neighbors, the Bengal Lancers, the Lawn Bowling Club, the new Denton new member, I heard. Yes. Yeah. You make your mark wherever you go. They knew all about you right away. And they've all agreed to support us in our vision for what we want, which I think is really important when we go to council and start chatting about this new vision for the Wanderers block. We have all the tenants and all our neighbors on side with what we're trying to do. And we've got the support of our councillor and Councillor Wayne Mason. So I think in the next probably 2 months, before the season starts, before our home opener on April 29th, we will be probably public with our ask and our request, and we'll likely be sitting in front of council much like we did 5 or 6 years ago when we made the initial, some of you were here that were there then, and we made our initial pitch to try this crazy idea out on the Wanderers grounds. We'll be back to make the pitch. It's time now to make it permanent and give you guys what you deserve, which is a proper stadium.
Yeah, moving on. We're going to get into like the kind of nerdy tactical stuff now. Football perverts. So several people asked this, Patrice. They were talking about like the style of football you played in Vaughan, the formation you played in Vaughan, that mental shit you do with your left back where he tucks in and inverts. Do you have like the similar kind of idea of a game model for Halifax and principles of play and the way you want the team to look on the pitch?
Well, first I was going to say, I feel like the questions are uneven. What parent keeps getting applauses and laughs? My questions are like deep dives, and I see people taking notes. So I'm getting super nervous when I'm saying, no, listen, I mean, yeah. I think he chose the question, some of them. Our plan is to conduct with the same principles of attack, whether it's through different shapes, because we obviously want to be unpredictable to our opponents, but the philosophy remains the same, which is make a lot of passes, hang on to the ball, invite the pressure, and look to keep moving the ball closer and closer to the goal, and hopefully score a lot of goals. So again, we won't be as predictable as just having one look, but it'll be different looks. It'll depend on our travel, opponents, but with the squad of players that we have coming and the technical ability, I feel very excited and optimistic about the different looks that we're going to give our opponents, which I think they won't be ready for.
Woohoo!
Yes!
And good night, everyone.
Thank you. Damn, starting with that. Thanks, Gary.
So in terms of influences, like when we chatted before, you told me how Pep Guardiola and De Zerbi from Brighton are two coaches that you really look up to. How have they influenced the way you like your teams to play?
I think every coach has their own philosophy they want to apply. I think it's great to feel inspiration from other coaches. For me, the biggest takeaway from them has been try to do something different. Because if I think about a long time ago when I played, if I was doing the same type of training and ideas, it took its toll on you and it became boring. So try to excite your players, try to push the boundaries, try to offer the fans and the league something that's never been seen before. So for me, the biggest takeaway was look at it differently. Have passion about what you do, and look, for sure, I'm sure one of the questions is about risk and the things and the league being different. We're going to take risk, but where there's a lot of risk, there's also a lot of reward. So we'll be ready for that, and hopefully so are you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. So I feel like there's a couple of sides to football. There's the stuff that happens on the pitch that you can see with your eyes, but there's also the intangible stuff, the mental side of the game as well. And we had a question from Ben who wanted to know, how do you kind of coach that stuff? How do you coach the intangibles, the stuff that you can't actually see, the stuff that's happening between someone's ears?
Yeah, that's actually an excellent question. One, again, we've qualified players that have the mental strength. Generally, when something like that happens, Gary, it's because of pressure. Pressure gets to the player, whether it's through fatigue, the desire to be consistent, and I continue to say we don't want players that are a 10, then they're a 2, then they're a 3. We want players that are a consistent 7. They know what we expect and they can do it on a day in and day out. A lot of that starts in preseason, and it starts from us taking pressure away from them and letting them know we're going to make mistakes for sure, but it's about what do we do to resolve it. And at the end of the day, I've said this to every player that I've recruited, every player that's been here. I'll stand by them when the whistle's blown, and we're together. So I think it's taking away that pressure and letting them know that this is amazing. You're doing what you dreamed of, and you're playing against the best fans in the league. So take away all that anxiety and look at it as an opportunity.
Sure.
A final question on the tactical side of the game. Chris asks, while attacking football sells seats, how confident are you that our defence will be set up in a way to stop us getting hit by counter-attacks?
There's many different ways of looking at that. For me, the first is our attack will be our best defense. If we can put teams away early, then they won't have the desire to want to counterattack. 2, if we can hang on to the ball, I don't think anyone can score without the ball. So if we can take care of the ball, so if we can take care of the ball, that's going to get rid of a lot of that issues. And again, when teams start to see the style we want to play, that'll be immediately what they go on. But for me, that's a defeat right away. When an opposition coach says, hey, we're just going to sit back and let them have the ball the whole game and try to counter, they're admitting defeat, that we're better at what we can do. So it's taking care of the ball, working with our group, that the moment we lose the ball, repress, And again, we're not afraid to play. We're not going to say, no, we'll counter you. We'll be a team, and if you look at our average age, I understand that everyone wants a player that's much more experienced, but when you look at youth and the energy that we're bringing in, that's going to be the buzz that we need to stop all these goals from happening.
And just to add to that, Todd asks, a lot of this is defence-based, which kind of tells you how our season went last year. What changes can we make to make us better at defending set pieces compared to last season?
Well, hopefully, if we never give up any set pieces, that'll give it keep the ball in the opposition half. Look, for me, it's about a level of organization, and where we are today, with our group, we've already started having meetings 3 or 4 times a week. We're already discussing set pieces. We know the things that have happened, we are addressing it, and we're trying to fix it. So we're looking at not just coming up with one way of defending set pieces, but coming up through various different ways based on our opponents. So, I think step 1 is admitting there was a problem, and number 2 is coming up with a solution of revisiting it and fixing it.
So obviously Jordan's come along with you from Vaughan. How important was it for you to have him come back in as your assistant this year?
Jordan's actually there. Jordan, can you wait for us?
Hi, Jordan.
Again, with Derek and Matt giving me an opportunity of a lifetime, and also you guys, I wanted this for Jordan because he understands. I think he calls me a mad scientist. That sometimes, again, going back to what we were saying with Gary, you can't do things normal and expect something extraordinary to happen. So Jordan understands my culture. Sometimes I need to be calmed down. Most of the time, actually. So I think Jordan understands the culture we want to set, and I think with that coming in, it makes it so much easier because our staff is aligned. And I think, with Jan coming back, which is incredible, and the addition of Jet to our staff and Travis, I think we have an amazing staff that's going to be able to support the players that we brought in.
Amazing.
So we had a question from Stuart, and he wanted to know, with the amount of away games we've got to start the season, how can we go about mitigating the challenges and the risks of being on the road for so long at the start of the season?
It's not easy. The first 6 out of the 8 games are away, and for sure that's a challenge, but that could also be an opportunity, Gary. You look at us, one of your first questions being about how do you build team culture, spend a lot of time together. So for us, it's about getting things that we need up to speed, and I think we have a deeper squad than we've ever had here. So we talk about squad rotations, having guys that are fresh, and again, on all these trips, we're going to utilize every minute and understand how we can improve ourselves, whether it's taking an earlier flight or a later flight, getting there earlier, training on the field, getting whatever it is, but we're going to do our best, and we've already addressed all those things to prepare our team. It for sure is a challenge, but the way I've thrown it at our guys is, with all the travel that we have, our team culture will be incredible because we're together a lot. For
sure, yeah. We had a question that was for you, Patrice, but I was hoping both of you could answer it because I think if we got this from both perspectives, it could be quite interesting. And it was a question about game day routines and what that looks like for you. So the question was asking you, Patrice, when you wake up on the day of a match, how do you prepare your team? What do you want the players to eat? Which is an interesting question, but also for Derek, I was wondering, for you as an owner of a club who's hosting a home game, what does your match day look like as well? So maybe we could start with Derek and then go to Patrice from the player's perspective.
Sure you want him after me? Okay.
Yeah, you'll be on in an hour, Patrice.
That's a great question. Well, I must say I've got a great team. So how about a quick shout out to my team? We've got Brian here. I know Dylan is here, always hiding over the side, he does so much. Jeff is right there. Trevor, who you guys saw earlier, is here. Matt's at the back. So I'm very fortunate. Oh, Jack and Anna, I think were over at the front desk when you guys walked in. You saw them. And Marvin's probably here somewhere, isn't he? Yeah, there he is. So I'm very fortunate that we've really got a great team. And I don't have to do a lot on game days, which is maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know, because I don't have a lot to do, I often get very stressed out. And given that we haven't had the greatest success over the last couple of years, sometimes game days aren't the most fun, if I'm being truthful. But for me, it's really just kind of checking in with everybody in the morning, seeing how everything's going, making sure there haven't been any curveballs. There was no hurricane that blew down the media tower the day before. Things like that sometimes pop up. Usually I'm checking in with Marvin and asking for the ticket count to know if we're sold out yet and how close we are to whether we're going to get there or not on that game. I usually show up to the game a couple hours early. Walk around, just check in with everybody, kind of get my own eyes on things to see how things are set up and how they're going. Usually go out on the pitch, chat with the team, the coaches. I usually do a little walk around of the grass. I love the grass, so it's kind of my thing. I just love walking around on the grass and feeling that atmosphere.
I want that on a Wanderers t-shirt. I love the grass. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, as long as it's green. Yeah. And then just get upstairs and try to smile and try to enjoy the game. So it can be nerve-wracking though, and it's an incredibly. I didn't think it would be as stressful as it is, but it is. And I'm looking forward to having a few early goals this year to enjoy second half. There you go.
No pressure. Well, Derek doesn't stand a chance here. Mine is crazy, and I'll go with that part last. But listen, for me, for the players, it doesn't start on that day. It's about our preparation that we give them the whole week. In regards of our training, in regards of what we do, the way video preparation, we have a team nutritionist. We're working on their sleeping patterns and understanding all those things. And if you see any of them at a bar or here during the season, just give us, well, you have Derek's phone number, just give us a shout. But,
Cow, hide your beer.
Yeah, no, I've been watching him. Okay, he's having water.
Vodka.
So it's with that part, Gary, I leave it to the guys because I think once you hit your zone, and I think we're all used to doing something that allows you to feel comfortable, you don't want to change that. Like you have your pre-game meal, there's a certain time you get up, and I'll go over mine, as I said, you're going to be blown away. And we want to make them feel comfortable, for them to have their pre-game meals, when they go to sleep, when they wake up, but most of that really is about the support they get the week before. For me, I feel, I wouldn't say anxiety, but I'm too excited, I'm going crazy, so the first thing I always do is, on game days, I always shave, and I always go for a swim, and I don't have a pool here, so if you guys see me in the ocean, just help me out once in a while. And yeah, I get back in. Once I hit a winning pair of shoes and outfit, I wear the exact same thing, so I'm extremely superstitious, and I stick to it. And, you know, for me, it's about really calming the nerves. I'm coming in with that great deal of excitement to lead this team to great things.
The drunker they get, the happier they are. So that's another question for you both from Alex. I think this is a bit of a home run for both of you. Do you think Halifax has the fan support to help us win the league?
Yes.
Moving on.
More than ever, yes. For sure.
So this question is from Tom, and it's kind of a question, Patrice, you thought would come up. What do you think will be the biggest challenges with coaching in the CPL compared to League One Ontario?
For me, that's not even look, the most successful coaches in this league, when they started, when you look at Forge and Calgary, they started at the exact same level. So that's not even something that worries me. I feel very confident in me and my team's abilities to be there. But in regards to the biggest challenge we're going to have is the consistency. You know, we have a lot of excitement, we have young players, and whether we hit on a very high note, it's going to be challenging to keep that on a high note, keep going. We want to start incredibly and start with a great game and take it to Ottawa back-to-back, but we're also very much aware that we want our best form to happen in July and August, leading us to the playoffs. So it's really about looking at the overall plan and understanding what it is we're trying to achieve. And I think for me, the biggest goal that I want to give our team and the fans is that we want to get better every game. Every game we play, we get better. And, ultimately, I would love our last game to be a win, which is winning everything, hopefully.
Amazing. So, not everything will go smoothly next season, of course. With that in mind, Rich would like to know, you haven't run into too much based on your incredible success at Vaughan, but with soccer being such a high pressure sport, coming into a higher level with focus on success, I'm wondering how you will handle criticism from the fans. Derek might be able to help you out with this, but
all the inquiries, I'm forwarding all the emails to Derek. No, I'll go before Derek. Listen, I'm open to it. I would also ask if we're winning to get all the encouragements as well. So when there's the good, no problem. And when there's the bad, we should be held responsible. We are going to hold ourselves responsible for the way we play, with the way we train, and with the way we conduct ourselves. We want someone that you guys are proud of. So there's not a question about that. And again, it is a higher level and it's different, but we do also have a lot more resources that I've never had. We do have more elite players that we've never had. So all those things are there for sure, but I also have things that I've never had. Jordan was our kid manager, our physiotherapist, our assistant coach, and sometimes even participated. And now, we're looking at changing some roles. So for sure, listen, we want to do our best, and I assure you that the biggest criticism of our shortcomings will come from myself. So I'm open to that, and we have a responsibility for sure.
Yeah, two things. Don't go on social media. Number one, I made that mistake last year. And number two, I agree with what Patrice said. No one wants to win more than I do. So at the end of the day, it hurts all of us incredibly when we don't succeed, whether it's on the pitch, whether it's off the pitch, when we have issues in the stands, if we have issues with delivery of the game day experience, if we have issues with people having a horrible time or losing, all of those things really hurt. And I made reference to the team. This team works their asses off, 365 days a year to try to deliver this. So it's not to minimize what you guys feel, because I appreciate that you feel it, and I'm thankful that you feel it. Passion is a two-edged sword. So we're very fortunate to have a passionate group of people that support us, and we accept that passion comes with a responsibility to try to deliver something, and that you're going to be upset if you don't get, what you should in terms of an effort and a result. So I think if I can leave that with any comment, it's similar to what Pat said. We give a shit, and we really care, and it hurts us when we are struggling and when we're not delivering what we really think we should. So always know that we're showing up Monday morning fired up trying to fix it.
We only have 3 questions left. Patrice, this is from Matthew, and obviously you've got a pretty incredible record with developing young players. Like you've developed young players who've ended up playing for the Canadian national men's team. With Vaughan, you've had countless players who have gone professional. So with that in mind, he wanted you to pick an age group that you enjoy coaching the most. And like alongside that, what age do you think is the most crucial time in a young player's development?
Listen, that's an excellent question. I'm not sure if there's ever recipes you come up with, because my son plays and he's 9 years old and he loves the game as much as all of us that are here. And I look at him, but I think with certain ages, it depends about patience and understanding what's happening. You look at Alistair Johnston, who played at this field. Alistair Johnston at 19, 20 years old was Nobody in Canada soccer would know him, and now he's playing for a pretty good team, you know. So I think development comes at a different age. All of us feel the trigger at a different point of our lives. I think for me, I obviously enjoy the most when you go 17 and 18 and above, because now you're in that open age where physically and mentally you've really developed. But I think it's really about, if you're getting better every day, you're going in the right path. Don't look at it at 14. If you didn't make the provincial team, or you didn't score 2 goals, or you didn't get the man of the match, that you're a failure. Some things, you know, like a fine wine, sometimes you just have to wait for it to develop. So be consistent, believe in yourself, and you know, development never stops. It never, you know, I've had players that are 22 years old that were good, and it took a year, and the light bulb went off, and they were incredible. And you know, to going back to even to your previous question about the criticism and stuff, you know, I ask you guys to look at the season and be patient, and I do the same with our players. You know, judge it based on the season. Of course, we want to get better every day, but with these same players, if they're improving than the day before, they're getting better and better. So I don't know if that took it on not a direct answer, but I think development never stops. You're always getting better.
For your football career, and
Yeah, I know. There's still hope for me, yeah. So Trip had a question that we'll aim at Derek, as he's been at every game, I think. Did you skip any because you were afraid of the fans?
No, I haven't missed it.
Okay. What is your favourite chant that you hear at games?
You know which one I like, which I'll probably get in trouble, is I like it when they do the yellow banana to the opposing goalkeeper. I always get a kick out of that. So I say that would be the cleanest one I can mention in my role. That's good.
Amazing.
So this is the last question of the night now, and pretty much every question we got fell quite neatly into a box of like tactics or new signings or hopes for the season. But then we had one from Denton. So Denton is our resident super fan. Like you'll see him dressed as a pirate. Yeah, pirate on match days. Privateer on match days, sorry. And Denton said, Patrice, I looked on your wife's Instagram. And
blocked.
Yeah. And
is that it?
No. And in her biography it says that she is a costume maker. Would she be willing to take a commission to make a blue tricorn hat for Denton's costume?
That's a lot better. That's a clear example to be patient with the team, the season, and everything. So that's a lot better. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I'm sure we can work that out. She's ecstatic. We can give her a call later to get her on FaceTime. She has my son in practice. But for sure, we can look together for everyone. So absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I think
Yeah, we're done.
So that's all the questions we had. I'm sure you'll join me in welcoming Patrice to Halifax, and come on, you Wanderers!
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I didn't hear that.
Do you want to see if anybody has any questions? If anybody has any questions from the floor you want to ask, come up and away you go.
Carlos? Yeah.
Rampersad is our captain since day one, and he's been like through all the phases at this club. It's been true. So my question to you is like, have you talked to Rampersad, because he's your captain, my captain, our captain, and what are your plans? You know, because you're a new manager, you got a new staff, and of course, like he's the voice of the locker room, and there's gonna be other leaders as well.
Yeah. Listen, one of the most exciting parts of this job was you guys, the city, and Rampy. You know, the first call I made was to Rampy, and obviously we kind of knew of each other. We've had several players from Vaughan come here that he knew of. We played Halifax last year in preseason in Toronto. We played you guys in Canadian Championship, so we had some familiarity with each other. And I think Rampy was very receptive. He's very excited, and I mean, all credit to everything that's been laid out here in the past. But you know, first and foremost, I think he's an incredible player, and my job is to support him with a group to bring a championship that he deserves, and you guys deserve.
Yeah, I'm gonna get super technical, but like in terms of Rampersad, how do you see you get the best out of him? Is it more of an anchor role? Is it further forward? Like I guess also in terms of that, like super technical, but like what would be like your rest defense to make your attacking work so well?
Yeah, I mean, with Rampy, he's been stretched out to do so many things that we're gonna look based on the different opponents and the games. One, to provide him a supporting cast that can allow him to be better and better. When you look at Rampy, his abilities are enormous. And imagine putting him on a level with everybody that's at the same level, things are so much easier for him. So for me, he's our general that'll dictate the tempo. He's our leader to calm the guys when they feel that anxious feeling. He's our guy that'll make us push further than we can go. Jordan, myself, Jed, and the staff can do so much, but we need a guy that I always call a general on the field that can push the guys, and I think he's the best in the league. He really is the best in the league.
We have another one.
Thanks so much. Patrice, do your tactics change whether you're playing on natural grass or artificial turf? And of course, we love our field being natural grass. And anyway, just a quick question on that for your tactics.
Yeah, thank you. Very good question, because natural grass is obviously one of the best assets that we have, and with your help and support, we'll make this the most difficult place. We can push more because turf almost has 20% more damage on your body. So with grass, we can go pedal to metal for 90 minutes. And that'll be exciting because we're at home, you'll get to see that. Sometimes on the road, on the turf, we'll start pedal to metal, but may have to scale it back with the crazy travel that we have. And turf does certainly take its toll on you. But our approach to start the game won't change, but there may be, the 60th, 70th minute where we have the lead, where we'll scale it back a little bit and understand that we have to protect these players as well. So, you know, and then, you know, going back on what we had said earlier, one of our biggest goals this year is for our staff to have 0 injuries. And that starts with protecting these guys, right?
Yeah, don't want to trip you up there. So coming out of the gate there, like, you got high expectations. How do you personally deal with the pressure of that?
I love pressure. I think it's, you know, for me, the story of my life has always been an underdog. Pressure is what, you know, nothing that allows me to be worse. It just makes me better. It allows me to push myself more than ever. You know, for me, hard work is a gift. It's not something that I don't enjoy doing. We're going to keep pushing and look at saying, hey, our expectation is to have the highest level of standard. And when you have this new birth, it gives us an opportunity to have new rules, new playing style, new members. I mean, I am so excited to get on the field and have these guys going, and hopefully you guys are excited. So for me, pressure is what's going to make us better.
Sorry, I should say was.
One thing I like to ask anybody who has got anything to do with the game, who was your favorite player to watch when you were a kid?
I grew up at a crazy soccer household, so that's difficult to say, but I would say maybe like Pep Guardiola when he was playing, Roberto Baggio, Iniesta. I mean, I loved Iniesta and Xavi. So I'm a little bit biased because the majority of the games I watched was Barcelona. So yeah, I mean, there were people that really changed the game, and that's what we're going to try to do this year too.
Nobody ever says
Do you think we're gonna what do you think we're gonna do better on goalkeeping or striking?
Well, listen, very good question. We're going to try to do it all better, right? So I don't. As you've seen, we have a really, really exciting new addition goalie. So that's going to come in. We have some really exciting attackers that'll be announced shortly, and we've already made some additions. So for me, it's about the overall group. Everybody. We're not asking anybody to take 5 steps forward, but if every member takes 1 step forward, that's 23 steps forward. So for me, it's about collectively everyone moving forward and going. Is that okay? What position do you play?
Midfielder.
Midfielder. You see, you didn't ask about the midfielders. So you like Rampy, that's good.
I just had a follow up earlier on about obviously with Joao not coming back at the start of the season and potentially not at all. How much did that change your plans coming into the new season of how you're going to adapt with new players coming in?
It's a brand new start for everyone. So the first thing we're going to do is set a great culture, and the culture is be proud of who we are, the city we play for, and brotherhood. You know, there's going to be bad games, there's going to be bad days, but at the end we stick together. The second one is to have a clear identity of how we want to play. When you lose your best player, you have an opportunity to have a new best player. You know, it just keeps going. So it's now everyone's saying, you know what, it's my turn to show what I can do. And all the players that are coming, including Callum, young Callum that's here, they want to be here. We didn't have to go around and push them to be here. So I'm very excited about every member that we have. Plans don't change. We just keep getting better, and you know, we're going to challenge these young athletes to be the best version they've ever been.
Amazing answer. Did anybody else have any questions? We can let these two guys go and have a couple of beers, and yeah, we really appreciate you giving us all this time, being very open and honest as always, Derek, Patrice. We would have loved to have Jordan up here to give us a rundown of his night at the Dome, but he kind of chickened out at the last minute. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming, and come on, you Wanderers.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.